Hey guys, and welcome to this week's Money Honeys. Today we are moving on to the next achievement in our Money Honeys path, and that is that we are going to start talking about the retirement savings habit. And this is going to be sort of the small step towards a future achievement, which is actually putting a full amount every month into retirement savings. But for now, it's not about the amount, it's about starting the habit. Because retirement savings is something where it is a little bit less about the amount that you're putting away and more about the consistency with which you are doing it. And if you are watching this as one of my younger Money Honeys viewers, this is especially important because the earlier you start, the better you are going to be. If you are joining us for the first time, I would suggest that you go back and watch through this playlist as we are working our way through the steps. But let's just take a quick look at where we are in the achievements and what we have done so far. So surrounding the entire achievement pathway is the vision, and we've talked a little bit about building your own vision. We have talked a bit about the basics, about your income, your expenses, and putting your budget together. We have spoken about the next step, which is your 1 month of emergency expenses, and we've talked a lot about that and why you need it, what it's there for, what is and isn't an emergency. And now we are going to talk about the retirement savings habit. And let's start out by talking a little bit about what I mean by retirement savings. When I say it as retirement savings, it's pretty straightforward. It is money that you are putting away now that you do not touch until your career is over and you are ready to retire and never have to work again. It's that money you're putting away for the future so that you are not living on just what the government provides, so that you can have an enjoyable time in retirement, keep the lifestyle that you want to have, and start planning for that earlier on, because the earlier that you start saving, the more time it has to grow before you reach retirement. What it is not is saving for something that you are going to use for something else. So a lot of the times if you talk about this savings habit, people will say, oh, I'm saving, and it's like I'm saving for a vacation, or I'm saving for my next car, or I'm saving for something that I want. And that is not really what I'm talking about when I'm talking about savings, because that kind of saving is really just budgeting for spending that you are going to be doing or something you are going to be buying in the future. When I am talking about savings, even if I don't specifically say retirement savings, I'm usually talking about either two things, saving an emergency fund, in which case I'll be pretty specific about that, or retirement savings. And again, this is money that you are not touching until you get to retirement. And this is why it has to become a habit. If you are somebody who always spends your money down to zero, or you're living in overdraft, or you're living on credit cards or lines of credit, it can be very hard to take money, put it away, and not touch it or spend it. So what we are doing this week, and this is kind of a good video for the end of the year because maybe this can be one of your New Year's resolutions, is just putting the money away and not touching it, getting used to taking money out of your paycheck when it comes in, putting that line in your budget, moving into a savings account, and just not touching it, pretending it is not there. This is not the step when we're going to be talking about how you invest it, what you do, all those complicated things, because I think that's really what gets a lot of people overwhelmed about retirement savings, is they feel like they need to understand investments, they have to figure out all this stuff that people make overly complicated. And the reality is that it is more about the process of saving than it is about all these tricky things about investment returns and RRSPs or IRAs if you're in the States, like all that kind of stuff. Just put that out of your head. This is simple. This is taking a small amount of money in your budget and putting it away in a savings account for now where you do not touch it. Oftentimes people won't save for retirement either, or start saving for retirement because they think it's a small amount they can put away and therefore it's not worth it. Once again, I'm here to say that it is not about the amount, especially at this point as you're getting your finances together. It is about the habit. So don't think this is something you're going to put off for when you're in a better financial place. Don't think this is something you're going to do, oh, when I have some room in my budget. It's not about that. It's about putting it in your budget and making it a habit. If you start doing this now, then you can grow it. But if you never start, then you're never going to, because the reality is there's always going to be something that you want to buy, something that you want to do, where if you don't make this a priority and something that you consistently do every month, it's not going to be a priority. The other plan that sometimes people have that does not work is that they think, oh, well, I will just spend all the money I'm going to spend in a month, and then whatever I have left over, I'll put into retirement. And retirement savings is not a leftovers thing, because there are always going to be things that come up that you're going to spend instead. And the reality is that it is always easier to see the thing that is right in front of you, the thing you want to buy, or the thing you want a month from now or a year from now, or that vacation in a year, or Christmas happening right now. That always makes you think, well, retirement is like 35, 40 years off, or, even 20 years off, 15 years off, and I can just push that one more month down the road. It's not a good way of doing it, because nobody ever has leftover money. If we were all rolling in all this money, this wouldn't be a problem. When people say pay yourself first, this is what they're talking about. Make your savings for your future a priority. So put it as a line item into your budget and try to keep that sacred. Like, you always keep that there. Even if you have to cut back on groceries, if you can't go out for a dinner, if you need to be more creative with your Christmas gifts, keep the retirement savings there as something that is untouchable. Because I want this to be a habit and something you start doing and get in the habit of doing, I don't want you to, at this point, make it something that is painful to do. If you're already putting a certain amount into your retirement every month, keep it at the level it is now. Don't mess with it. If this is not something that you have been doing, start with a small amount. I'm even going to say 1% of your net income for the month. So when you figure out all your income for the month, let's say you bring home $2,500 in actual net income. And if you've worked with me all the way through this series, you'll know what I mean by your net income. It's the money that actually goes into your bank account that you can budget each month. Use 1% of it, $25. That's all I want you to do. Just start it, move it into a savings account that you've gone and set up for this purpose, and don't touch it. It doesn't have to be painful at this point. It shouldn't be painful at any point. It's just about getting the habit started. There are a number of surveys done of people who are wealthy and the kinds of habits that they have, and I'll put some links to an article down below, 1 or 2 articles that I found on this. A lot of people think that, the way that you're going to get wealthy is being lucky enough to inherit money, or winning the lottery, or starting some company that just goes huge. But the reality is, at least in Canada, and I believe this is similar all over the world, that 80% of people who are wealthy did not inherit it. They made it themselves during their lifetime. And the habit that they have that got them to be that way is saving. Saving, it is what you are going to do to build wealth. There is nothing else. You are not going to get lucky. It'd be nice if you won the lottery. It'd be nice if I won the lottery. But it is the saving that is going to get you there. That is what is actually going to make a difference. And this habit is what's going to get you started. So what I suggest you do is, from this point on, when you're putting your budget together, put in, at this point, just that 1% of your net income, and open another savings account. I know I've been asking you to open a lot of savings accounts, but this is how we keep our money organized. And put that money into there, that 1%, that $20 or $25 or $40, whatever it is, into that bank account. Later on, when you get it built up to a certain amount, when we get onto a future step, we're going to talk about what to do with that, what kind of investment vehicles to put it into, all of that. But this is not about that right now. This is just about getting started with the habit. I would also say, and this is a personal opinion, but if you are following along with me, maybe you might want to consider this. There are a lot of people, not a lot, there are some people who work in professions where they have pensions, and their employer puts some money away from them, they put some money away for them, and that is retirement savings. Some people will say, if you have a great pension, here in Canada, if you work for the government, if you are a teacher, if you work in certain areas, you have good pension, that takes care of retirement savings for you. I would suggest that you still look at having your own savings outside of your pension. You can put the money away the same as anybody else can, and it just means that when the time comes that you get to think about never going back to a workplace again and doing whatever you want to do, you are just going to have that much more money to use in retirement. So I would suggest that when we are talking about retirement savings. Just don't think about pension or whatever is happening through work. Let that be like the icing on the cake. And you have control over how much you are putting away, and you have control over that money yourself. Not saying that pensions aren't managed well and all the rest of it. They are, generally, especially in Canada. I can't speak to the rest of the world. But do something for yourself as well, because no one is going to ever get to retirement and think, man, I wish I didn't have this much money. That's not a thing that's going to happen. So even if you have something through your workplace, please still consider doing this step and following with me through these achievements. I am going to end there for now. I'm going to put more information down below, and next Sunday is Christmas if you are following through this. So I'm not sure I'm going to put out a video that day. If I do, it's probably just going to be something a little bit fun, not a very in-depth part of this series. But I am excited about the holiday season. I am in my red. If you have not yet subscribed and would like to do so, you can click the subscribe button down below or click on my face at the end of this video. I try to put these videos out every Sunday, so if you subscribe and I think also click the bell button, you get notified on my videos. I do these as well as some beauty videos. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up or leave me a comment below, or both. It just lets me know that people are watching, which is helpful for me to keep up the motivation. I love doing these videos, but I also love to know that somebody is watching. That is everything from me. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.